This is the RAD Position with ASRT CEO and Executive Director Melissa Pergola. A podcast for medical imaging and radiation therapy professionals. Hi there, and welcome back to the RAD Position podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Pergola.
And I'm her podcast partner, Ray Arambula.
Welcome back, Ray.
Thanks for having me back, Melissa.
So we are thrilled today. We have Samantha Skubish with us, and she is an amazing leader in our profession. Welcome, Samantha.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me. This is so rad.
I love that. I love that. So Sam holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Radiologic Science from Southern Illinois University and a Master's of Science degree in Health Policy and Management from the New School in New York, New York. Sam is the Chief Technical Director in the Department of Radiation Oncology at Mount Sinai Health System, like I said, in New York, New York, and also Clinical Assistant Professor in the School of Health Professions at Stony Brook University. She serves as many things. She serves as Vice Chair of the ASRT Practice Standards Council, serves on the ASRT's Consensus Committee on the Future of Medical Imaging and Radiation Therapy, and is Chair and co-founder of the Radiation Therapy Association of New York State. Sam is an ARRT Gold Standard Award recipient for her work on professional advancement, equitable care, and patient safety. She leads the National Advanced Practice Radiation Therapy, or APRT, working group and participates in the Advanced Practice Radiation Therapy International Community of Practice. And do you say that ICOP?
Correct.
ICOP. Okay, because that's a mouthful too. So if we talk about that, we'll say ICOP. Her department received the 2023 ACCC Innovator Award for their APRT model of care. That is incredibly impressive. Sam is passionate about advancing the field and the scope of practice for radiation therapists. I told you, Ray, it's a lot.
That is a lot. This is going to be a good episode.
It is. Sam, I just talked about all of the amazing things that you're doing, particularly in the realm of advanced practice for radiation therapists. So my first question is, can you share some insights into how this role has evolved within the field of radiation oncology? And then the second part is, why is it crucial for the future of patient care?
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys again for having me on. This is such a treat to be here. I'm so honored to be a guest. As radiation therapists, think about our role. We see our patients more frequently than any other clinician within the multidisciplinary radiation oncology team. Throughout their course of treatment, we see our patients every single day, really deeply understanding and getting to know their needs, and then applying our clinical and technical skills to meet those needs.
Yeah.
Beyond that, we know what movie they've watched over the weekend, what their grandchildren's names are, and really developing those important relationships and dynamics between clinician, radiation therapist, and their patients. And so it's incredibly important to the care that we provide within radiation oncology to our patients is often at the worst time of their lives, if not one of the worst times in their lives. And so as radiation therapists, we are well positioned, if not the most well positioned, to affect the quality of care that is provided to our patients.
Yeah.
And then from a professional standpoint, when you look at the evolution of practice for radiation therapists, that evolution is truly inevitable. And I think it's been growing our scope has been growing at a very fast and rapid rate over the last, 10 to 20 years with advancing technologies, and then the new special procedures that come with those advancing technologies driven by the complexity of our patients. And additionally, our patients are living longer with their disease. Thank goodness. The more information we have about our patients, the more robust than ever our approach to treatment and care just becomes more complex. And so with this complexity, we really see a shift that requires us to reevaluate our care models, right?
Mhm.
and reevaluate, what does task distribution, role implementation, role delineation mean in sort of a new modern model of care, in order to provide and continue to provide the best possible care. And really the ultimate goal being allowing the multidisciplinary team to function at the top of their license. And that includes our physicians, our physicists, and of course, our radiation therapists. And so, because our role is so integral to the multidisciplinary care model, and now we're sort of in this really pivotal moment in our profession of really needing to meet that demands. The APRT has really just emerged as a new model. And so we see, the APRT is a radiation therapist with additional training, education, and competency that provides a higher level of care to meet some of those demands within an established advanced practice framework.
We'll be right back after this short message. Want to revitalize your career? Treat yourself to top-notch education and connect with colleagues and leaders in the profession in scenic Reno, Nevada. Register now for the 2025 ASRT Educational Symposium, where you can earn 6 continuing education credits in topics such as patient care, medical imaging regulations, RT advocacy, and emerging trends in the profession. While you're there, don't miss the ASRT Expo Hall, the ASRT Annual Governance and House of Delegates meeting, or any of the other special events that follow the symposium. Register by May 18th at asrt.org/symposium and save with advanced registration. When I think about a radiation therapist, what I heard you say is compassion and complexity. And I'll tell you a little story I don't think I've ever told. When I was in X-ray school, we spent a little bit of time, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks in each rotation. So for each of the disciplines. And you're not going to be surprised, Ray. So for me, every single one I went to, I'm like, oh, I want to be that. I want to be that. That's what I want to be. I'm going to be
Overachiever.
I'm going to be an MR technologist. I want to be a CT technologist. But when I went to the therapy department, it's a different relationship with the patient. The compassion part, I have so much respect. And I like my team, not like I'll tear up in a heartbeat, but I just have so much respect for the technical ability, the complexity, but the compassion and ability to take care of them. It's awe-inspiring.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Sam, you talked about some of the enhancements and we touched on how that impacts the patient. But what about how does APRT benefit RTTs and impact clinical operations, and maybe in terms of staffing retention and attracting talent to the profession?
Yeah, that's such an important question. And I think, especially now requires a lot of thought because we do have, as you guys know better than anybody, a real staffing crisis in this country and
Yeah.
staffing challenges in healthcare overall. But in our profession, vacancy rates going up at a rate that we've never seen before. And so, I think overarchingly, and that's really a lot of the work of the consensus committee, right, is that establishing new clinical career advancement opportunities that aren't, plateaued to the level of which you can only move into management or
Right.
clinical opportunities really offers our therapists a new pathway to grow in order to continue to provide patient care, but at a higher level. And as a director and person in management, I see that as a great strategy and tool to attract and retain highly skilled individuals within our profession and within our institutions at such an incredibly important time. And especially when you think about in radiation therapy specifically, thinking about our ever-growing cancer patient population and the demand that will continue to bring to our institutions, for the foreseeable future. That's such an important aspect of being able to continue to provide quality care. And again, I think that's the same conclusion that the consensus committee came to as well. And so, it's exciting, I think, to think about how we can continue to grow the role of the therapist. And one thing important to note is that this isn't new. The APRT model
Yeah.
of care is on an international scale, not new to practice. And so when we think about these roles, we have models to look at and say, there's a UK model that's been around for a very long time.
Yeah.
There's a ton of, evidence-based practice in Canada that
Mhm.
shows by elevating the skill set of a therapist, we can make a difference. And I think for leaders like me, it's a great opportunity to think about how we can change the model of care while attracting and retaining,
Yes.
those highly skilled individuals.
Yeah, it's so true. There are only so many positions that people can be promoted to, right? And sometimes people think that's their only path. It's now I'm going to be a first level supervisor and then a manager and a director, and there are so many other pathways, and for us to have this clinical pathway, like you say, Sam, to retain our therapists, it's critical. And it is so important.
Yeah, and I think just looking at the RA as well, has
Mhm.
been a real inspiration, and we've learned so much from, how that tier of the profession was established, and it's just been great to collaborate, with RA professionals and really kind of think about how we can grow together too. And
Yeah.
especially a lot of that is happening through the consensus committee and other, modalities, ultrasound and nuclear medicine, and so,
Yeah.
we're also not alone in the U.S. I think within our profession at large, there's, a lot of gaps in demand that
Yeah.
are overarching that we can really, hone in on. So,
And you talked about how this leads to a higher level of patient care, but I imagine there's higher levels of fulfillment in the work that they do as well.
yeah, and the just kind of leaning back on some of the international models that we see, the UK has a four-pillar model of advanced clinical practice, and we've really
Yes.
used that a lot through the APRT working group, but also to establish our role at Mount Sinai. We were the first in the US to have an APRT and an APRT model of care.
Mhm.
And so, those four pillars are really important to think about how you build the profession, but also build the roles. And, some of the things that our APRT is involved in is, of course, higher level clinical management and
Mhm.
assessment. But it's also research and knowledge dissemination.
Yes.
And then the other two pillars are education. So, of course, the educational framework and infrastructure of having a higher level education, but also, educating others at a higher level.
Yes.
And then leadership and management, really being that go-to person in your department and sort of, having the skills and knowledge and judgment of running your own projects and, really kind of elevating across the board.
Yeah.
I think it brings a new level of engagement and fulfillment to your point, when you sort of look at it through that four pillar model and see how the roles can be developed.
So, Sam, what are some of the drivers and maybe even challenges that require novel solutions like the APRT in modern radiation oncology practices today?
Yeah, well, I mentioned, just the technology and the
Yeah.
rapid rate of technology being
Mhm.
introduced into our profession, radiation oncology, cancer care in general has just been so incredible. I
Yeah.
think proton therapy or adaptive
Mhm.
radiotherapy, these are novel approaches to care that are very, very complex and high tech. And then, of course, our patient populations as well, which I mentioned is,
Yeah.
a growing patient population. We're treating
Mhm.
them longer for their disease over shorter courses, and just the care is becoming more complex. We're learning so much more about their disease and how to really tailor a personalized approach. Beyond
Yeah.
those, I think there's changing reimbursement models, of
Mhm.
course, and we've seen a shift to value-based care,
Right.
but this is amid rising costs, a lot of overburden with administrative, tasks, inefficient workflows.
Mhm.
Our physicians are experiencing higher levels of burnout. So are we
Yes.
because of these increasing workloads. And so, amidst all of those things, we're really challenged with remaining competitive, creating a culture of wellness, reducing waste, attracting talented staff. And
Yeah.
so, obviously, no silver bullet here
Yeah.
to all of these challenges, but the APRT does offer an innovative solution toward building up to meet that, to build that new model of care that, we are all sort of tasked with understanding and being able to stay afloat amidst all of these things. So when I talk to other leaders in other departments, or, when we got the ACCC award, which is just an amazing honor, this is an innovation. This is an innovative way of looking at how we can continue to improve for our patients. So I think it's really, those drivers and challenges will continue to exist and evolve.
Yeah.
And we're tasked with continuing to innovate. And this is one of those ways that we can.
And we've talked a little bit about the patient outcomes and how that advanced practice roles might improve that. But what has been some of the workflows? What changes have happened around that, and how they might have been streamlined in your department?
Yeah, so we really had just a series of conditions at Mount Sinai where the stars aligned for us. And we just have an amazing team that has been able to successfully prove, the first APRT model in the US. So I just want to take a second to acknowledge all of those people who've really just been a dream team for me to work with and alongside. So first, Clota Stars, of course, is our APRT. Who's doing this great work on the ground every single day and caring for our patients, and just really making a difference. And then we have our research team, Danielle McDonough and Maria Demopoulos, who have really led forth the effort to be able to evaluate the effectiveness and, just do incredible work as far as the research is concerned. Plus, we've had incredible backing of leadership within our department. Vice President Kim Smith, of course, was able to get the role approved and, really speak to our leadership. Hey, we can do this. We can be the first, to make this happen. And it's going to be great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then, of course, our chairman, Ken Rosenzweig, our radiation oncologist, who's, just really been supportive along with our other physician leaders, Cheryl Green, Kavita Dharmarajan, and Karen Goodman.
Yeah.
At Mount Sinai, we've been working on 3 grant-funded initiatives under the APRT umbrella. First, through the ASRT Foundation, thank you very much. We've been studying to see if by implementing an APRT model for our inpatient palliative radiation therapy patients, could we reduce the number of inpatients that were scheduled and never simulated, or simulated and never treated. And so this is getting down to sort of the nitty-gritty within our department, right? We have a lot of patients who are on and off of our schedule, especially inpatients where their plan of care can change very rapidly based on their condition, or based on their workup, or based on, new information. And so in our department, that can lead to a lot of waste and inefficiency. Even more so cumbersome and burdensome is if we simulate a patient for treatment, start planning, and then they actually never start treatment. That's very costly. That's very inefficient. But because of varying conditions and variables, it could happen often. And so when we first looked at those numbers in our department, there was about 20% of our inpatient population fell into either of those categories. And I don't think we're an anomaly. I think that's fairly consistent at large academic medical centers like ours that treat a large inpatient palliative population. Since we've introduced the APRT and our model of care, that's down to about 4 and 5% for both.
It's amazing.
Additionally, we also have an internal wellness grant through our Office of Wellbeing and Resilience, and those results aren't published yet. But can we reduce this stress on our physicians by the introduction of an APRT? And like preliminary results, and spoiler alert, we can effectively.
Nice.
And so, that was an internal grant where we'll be, talking about in 2025 and publishing those results, because we're just wrapping up that study now. But, our physicians like this addition to the care team. And, it's been great to see, something as, introducing a new step in the process where Clota goes to the inpatient floor and assesses our patients before they come to our department to make sure that they can get through simulation, without any challenges, or with the minimal challenges as possible. the physicians really appreciate that and like that. And, she can be the first to respond to a lot of questions or communication, and really help coordinate the care as well, in complement to the work that they're already doing. The third grant is an international collaborative grant, again from the ASRT Foundation. Thank you very much. Where we're working with our Canadian colleagues at University of Toronto on identifying the appropriate framework for APRT preparation in the US and Canada. So this is really honing in on the educational framework and modeling. What makes sense for the working radiation therapist professional to be able to become proficient and educated and competent enough to be considered advanced practice. And so, I think outside of that, there are a lot of really great teams doing really great work in their own domains across the country, including MD Anderson and WashU and St. Louis. And, there's a APRT at WashU, Robbie, who's saving his physicians a ton of time doing contouring on their adaptive program. And, MD Anderson's right there with them in getting an educational model going. So it's just been fantastic to not only see, I think, the need and the proven model within our institution, but to be able to work with all of these other, international colleagues and institutions across our country, really also recognizing the need and, coming up with their own models that work for, to meet the needs of their department as well.
Yeah. So I heard two things that you said. Many things that you said, but two things stand out to me. And one is that the way that you and the leaders who are bringing forth this new profession, the way you're approaching it's brilliant. There are two things that I hear. One, you're making sure that you're getting buy-in and support from the entire healthcare team, right? And that's critical. So radiation therapists and radiology administrators and physicists and hospital administration, radiation oncologists, right? It takes support from the top and buy-in from all of those professionals. And so you've done it that way. But another brilliant thing that's happening is to convince those outside of, let's say, our traditional professionals and colleagues is to have evidence, right? Evidence-based research that shows, hey, I love this. We're going to reduce burnout for radiation oncologists. They have a shortage like we have a shortage, right? That, you are improving efficiencies. You're proving the worth and the value of the APRT simultaneously with developing the profession. And I think that that's a brilliant strategy.
Yeah, and it also sounds like there's leverage being done around new technologies and protocols, and almost like you all are acting as the bridge for that between the rest of the healthcare team as well. So very impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. So you mentioned the work, and we've talked about the APRT, the Advanced Practice Radiation Therapy Working Group, multiple times. But can you tell us more about that group and also how the group is collaborating with the ASRT?
Yeah, absolutely. So the APRT working group is a grassroots group of individuals that are, across the multidisciplinary spectrum: radiation therapists, advanced practice radiation therapists, radiation oncologists, physicists, nurses, administrators, leaders, executive leadership, physician leadership, and then, of course, our professional bodies as well, the ASRT, the ARRT. And now we're very excited to have Astro at the table as well. And so I would say the APRT working group is really sort of where, it's the boots on the ground. It's the people doing the work. It's the people doing the research. It's the therapists and the physicians and the leadership within institutions that are saying, we want this, we need this, this is how we're going to make it happen. And it just keeps us connected. It keeps us all sort of collectively working towards the same goal. And it's just been fantastic to have the ASRT's support. So thank you again for everything that you guys have done, because it's just meant so much to how far we've been able to get down that road. ASRT.org/APRT.
That's right. ASRT.org/APRT.
Just sort of came out of a need that was discussed in the working group of, we really need a landing page of information where people can go to understand what does a framework for advanced practice radiation therapy look like in the US? Where are we at in the work that's being done? Can I hire one tomorrow? What's the current state of affairs? And so that's just been a great hallmark, and I think tangible outcome of the working group as well, to have that landing page.
Well, thank you so much, Sam. I think, you've done an amazing job explaining sort of the history, how we got here, why it's important. And again, I can't thank you enough for everything that you're
Yes,
doing.
thank you.
Thank you for having me. And it's been a pleasure to be here, and also a pleasure to work with you and the ASRT. And just thanks for the spotlight to talk about APRT, because it is so important. And I look forward to continuing to do this great work with you all. So thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Sam. And now we're going to transition into a game. We know how much Melissa loves games. But I figured with Melissa and Sam, I'm thoroughly impressed just how you all introduce and lead change and new ideas. So because we have two innovators, we are going to play a game called Innovation Charades.
Oh, is that you're going to butter us up first because I don't like the games?
You'll
Okay, it's not going to make it. Okay.
It's not a hard one.
Okay.
So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to give you some abstract and descriptive hints about an innovation, a technology, or a concept. So Samantha and Melissa, you'll have to guess what that innovation is.
Okay.
It began with mustard gas and became a lifeline.
Became a lifeline.
Drugs that attack cancer cells, though they take a toll.
Chemotherapy.
There you go. Okay, Melissa, you are trailing.
0.
It rolls forward, but never asks why.
What?
Without it, carts, cars, and carriages would be just ideas.
Wheels.
Wheel?
Yes.
Ah.
Threw you for a loop, huh?
That was good.
Thank you, guys. This was so much fun. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
We'll be right back after this short message.
Launch a journey of giving and winning with the ASRT Foundation Annual Drawing. Each $25 ticket gives you one chance to win big while supporting programs that empower medical imaging and radiation therapy students and professionals. Win amazing travel opportunities or cash prizes. Only ASRT members are eligible to purchase tickets and claim prizes. Get your tickets by May 31st at foundation.asrt.org/win-win.
Hey, Ray,
Hey,
guess what time it is?
we see you.
I see you.
I see you.
So this is our We See You segment now, right?
Yes, and we have a video from ASRT member Diego Diaz.
All right, cool.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Hey everybody, thank you for having me on the podcast. My name is Diego and I'm thrilled to be here on this episode. I'm a radiologic technologist and a TikTok creator. I've also been featured on a Newsweek article and recognized by the program that I graduated from for my efforts to highlight the importance of our profession. That being said, Melissa, here's my question to you. Do you see potential for ASRT to collaborate with influencers like myself to promote and bring awareness to the field? I'm looking forward to hearing your response and thank you for having me, guys.
Hey, Diego, that's a great question.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. So the short answer is yes. On this episode, we actually spoke with Sam Skubish, and we did some videos featuring Sam and others in the APRT working group. So we've collaborated with them. We also have collaborated with influencers in connection with our Be Seen campaign. For instance, Chandria Singleton and Andrea Flores, right? They did sort of a day in the life videos about our profession, which I think are extremely important, right? Because we want people to know the amazing work that we do, and all people, whether it's the general public, other healthcare professionals, prospective students. So we are doing several things with influencers. So like I said, the short answer is yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and Diego, thank you for your question. I did watch some of his TikTok videos. Thank you for sharing your journey and insights to the profession. My favorite of his video is DJ MRI. You should check that one out. But yes, I would say, yeah, we're very much in the business of promoting the profession and all the work you all do. for example, we featured Kristen and Rachel on social media.
Yes.
They both kind of explained how they got into the profession. And then why they chose that career path and what appealed to them.
Yeah.
We've also worked with other member influencers on social media where we've launched the Be Seen campaign.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of reactions after AGHOT featuring our members, like talking about the campaign and what it meant to them to be seen. And then we also featured our SLDP participants as well.
Student to Leadership Development Program.
Yes. Sorry. And their stories on becoming part of the program and how they were encouraged and encouraging others to do the same.
Yeah. Yeah. We love to interact with our members on social media. And we would love for you to be able to see some of the videos that we talked about. And they're all on our YouTube channel.
Yes.
But we also would love for you to subscribe to all of our social media.
So please do follow us today.
Don't put yourself in a bad position.
Stay up to date with the RAD position.
That's right. So registration is open for the 2025 Education Symposium and ASRT Governance and House of Delegates meeting. Very exciting. Yeah. So on June 19th, the symposium kicks off with a day of courses that explore cutting-edge trends and emerging technologies. Expand your knowledge, earn up to 6 continuing education credits, and network with other professionals from across the country. And the day after the symposium, the ASRT annual meeting gets underway. And the annual meeting is where the ASRT House of Delegates meets to make decisions about the future of the ASRT and ultimately the profession. Join us to experience the ASRT governance process in action, participate in chapter meetings, attend the amazing party at the foundation event. It's always a lot of fun. And network. So where can people go?
ASRT.org/symposium.
Excellent. So you can register there and you won't be disappointed.
Yes.
Ray, what a great interview.
Really good.
Yeah.
I learned a lot. That was a lot of insight. Thank you, Sam, for providing that. It's very interesting to see the growth and the work around APRT and just the transformation that's taking place and just how it's elevating patient care as a whole. Very exciting.
Yes, and it is so important for us to be hand in hand with our members in the profession in working towards creating these advanced pathways for our professionals. So exciting.
Yes, a win-win for everyone.
Yes. So thank you everyone for listening. We can't wait to see you next time. But in the meantime, don't forget to subscribe to all of our social media channels and to the podcast.
And also email us at radposition@asrt.org. We'd love to hear your stories. Let us know how you discovered the medical imaging and radiation therapy profession.
Yeah. And to all our medical imaging and radiation therapy professionals, be seen
and stay rad.